We'll go a bit into the introduction, but then go into the theme of short moments, and then good. So open intelligence is something about us that is always stable and clear. And the crystal ball is always a very powerful metaphor for that, because it shows that it reflects all the images, but isn't affected by whatever is on the reflections, whatever it reflects. The crystal ball is indestructible, isn't affected, has no scratch from it, always stable and clear. So just like a crystal ball is unaffected by whatever images appear, the nature of mind, open intelligence, remains lucid and clear regardless of the data, the thoughts and emotions and sensations that arise within it. So when we take these short moments, we recognize that indestructibility, the stability of our mind. We are not affected by whatever we are hearing right now, seeing, thinking, feeling, sensations, even though we might describe it as uncomfortable. Still, there's the essence of our being is indestructible, unaffected. So we remain in open intelligence for short moments, repeated many times. We become accustomed to this. The short moment grows longer. So that's the part of gaining confidence in open intelligence. And we just take short moments. We don't need to try to stay somewhere specifically, like in open intelligence, in an idea of open intelligence, but just simple short moments of resting naturally, acknowledging open intelligence. Just we don't even have to think of anything specific. Just taking short moments actually already confirms open intelligence naturally. And then we become more and more accustomed to this, rather than being just involved in our thoughts and emotions. And the short moments grow naturally longer, and then there's more and more confidence, as many of us here see in our experience. And because all thoughts and emotions are recognized as the dynamic energy of open intelligence. So we're not sorting our thoughts into good ones that we should have and bad ones that we shouldn't have. All thoughts and all emotions are the energy of open intelligence. And this open intelligence and data are inseparable, like the color blue in the sky. Can't separate it out. You cannot say over there are data, thoughts and emotions, and over there is open intelligence. It's just the same energy. Because there's always the essence of what's looking. Or in the crystal ball image, there's always the crystal ball crystal clear like aspect, inseparable from whatever it reflects within. And open intelligence is simply present. We are not struggling with positive or negative data. So open intelligence, we don't need to get from somewhere, don't need to cultivate it. Simply present. It's what's looking. So and relying on open intelligence, we are less and less struggling with positive or negative data, needing to change them, or thinking we are having the wrong thoughts and emotions. We can always recognize open intelligence within whatever is going on. Doesn't mean that we don't do something about, we are still living life, but we are really not in a struggle with ourselves in the end. We come to realize that nothing needs to be done to alter the natural flow of data. Data are the liveliness and power of open intelligence itself. So what shifts is instead of being totally involved in whatever we are thinking, feeling, and describing all the stories around everything, we are resting naturally and recognize this energy that we label in all kinds of ways as a power and potency to be able to respond, because sometimes we do need to respond. We do, obviously, we're not just mute and resting, we're responding to things that might need a response, interacting with people, obviously, and maybe even saying things that are unpleasant. So, and this kind of energy, it's really about seeing that we have this powerful energy to respond to circumstances, liveliness and power, and not a limitation and just being limited by whatever we describe. It can be a very small place to live from, to just see the descriptions of data and take every thought to be a real indication of how things are right now. Because sometimes we have a thought, I'm not good enough. And then the next moment we might say, well, this is really good. But then, this just the thoughts, the nature of thoughts become more and more open. Yeah, maybe Jochen would relate.
It makes no difference what data, thoughts, emotions, sensations arise. In open intelligence, it is impossible for there not to be a soothing openness in which they vanish naturally, leaving no trace, like ripples disappearing in water. At that point, in the wake of their vanishing, identify open intelligence relaxed and enormously potent. Yeah, I love that beautiful both description and instruction. You can always look in your own experience like a specific thought when it arises, and you notice how it arises immediately. Also it subsides. There might be the next thought and the next thought and the next thought. That's what we call thinking, but there is actually just always one thought at a time, and then the previous thought has vanished, leaving no trace, like ripples disappearing in water. And when we become like really clear in our direct experience and notice this constant, you could say like the coming and going, and then also look at what's not coming and going, that's when we can recognize this powerful presence, relaxed and enormously potent open intelligence. So it's that about us that doesn't come and go, even though everything seems to be in constant flux, the law of impermanence. Everything is coming and going. However, there is something here that's always here. Fear, anger, irritation, relationship issues, money worries, food, jealousy, pain continue to arise and flow on by. Open intelligence saturates all reified data continuously as it becomes increasingly obvious to us that all data are potent, beneficial energy. So unlike many other practices, at least I have come across, where I was always expecting the practice to remove these kinds of difficult experiences like fear, anger, irritation, and so forth. With this particular practice, the whole point is that we realize these don't need to go. We can experience fear, and if we rest as the basis of fear or as anger, then the basis of anger, there is clarity and stability, and we don't need to be imprisoned by these appearances. We rest as that mirror-like expanse in which everything arises, but nothing has control or command over both our ultimate well-being and also about our qualities and activities. and we recognize that this powerful energy, say in anger or irritation, there's a lot of energy. And if we try to rest and think that rest means we'll always be calm, then that doesn't fit together, right? Like we don't feel calm, we feel anger. And then, but as we rest, as we relax, as that wide open expanse in which the anger arises, that entire energy is then recognized to just be maybe the powerful energy to be really clear and direct, but not in a way that is destroying bridges, but in a way that can be completely open-hearted. So the energy isn't suppressed or that we try to become instead of irritated. We rest, and in that moment of rest, in that short moment, we have greater clarity and stability to be in the fire, so to speak, of the intensity, and can then act with wisdom and compassion. We no longer imagine that open intelligence is a special state or a destination we need to reach. We instinctively recognize that all data are the dynamic energy of open intelligence. Negative, positive, and neutral data flow on by, shining with open intelligence as pure beneficial energy. All data are the self-arising benefit of open intelligence. This is education in the nature of mind. It's beautiful. That is that from Empowerment 10 or 11, Kati? Like reminds me of some of these texts.
Yeah, I'm not sure which one.
Um, yeah, but like we wrote in the newsletter this week, um, every short moment instantiates or empowers an incredible array, an incredible range of qualities and activities. And we can never predict or like try to force one of those qualities. Instead, we rest as that openness, and then we see what comes from there. And sometimes it could be that we feel calm. Sometimes it could be that we feel like real laser-like clarity and a lot of energy to act powerfully. In other moments, we might just feel a completely open-hearted sense of love and care. And then that's the quality we bring into the moment. So each moment is really fresh and new, and there is no special state, and there is no final destination where we only feel a certain way. Instead, we can really allow everything to flow exactly as it is and be more and more responsive with this innate capacity to be wise and beneficial in whatever moment we find ourselves in.
We are gentle with ourselves, allowing open intelligence and its beneficial powers to become obvious very naturally in their own perfect way, recognizing that there really is no final point to arrive at, no destination at all. So this kind of natural pace and just this, they become it becomes more and more peaceful, that we're not looking for something more in open intelligence other than just simply seeing the recognition from moment to moment without it needing to be better or something special. And but obviously there's a time where it feels helpful to gain more and more confidence in open intelligence so that there is no doubt. And that is, I remember these times because initially during the 12 empowerments, it was helpful to just hear the teachings again and again until there was confidence that even if I was like not in a meeting or on a call, it wasn't that it just was suddenly not anymore so obvious. or when things get difficult in life, then it feels like, oh, there's now open intelligence, but that the confidence at one point is so strong that there is the doubts don't arise about if we're doing it right or if yeah, if we're doing it right, basically. So open intelligence, beneficial powers just grow brighter and brighter without end. Never underestimate the power of a short moment. We always have a short moment when things get difficult. And obviously, even though we are looking for something specific or a certain destination, open intelligence, it's also wonderful to see the deepening just occur. So seeing how open intelligence like affects daily life in a positive way. Not only our relationships, but also the relationship with oneself, the relationship with just all our thoughts and emotions, and the relationship with maybe the way we contribute in the world. So these kinds of things really just get better and better without even knowing how that comes about, other than just practicing. So, yeah, but it's like being gentle with ourselves. Sometimes there's also, we spoke about that before, like initially when the short moments sometimes feel difficult and it feels like we forget open intelligence all along. It's like when a child learns to walk, falls down, gets encouragement, so we give ourselves more encouragement. I always liked when Rinpoche was talking about these metaphors of a child learning to walk with the encouragement, and naturally it just comes about. It's powerful to gain confidence in open intelligence through short moments of open intelligence. That's freedom in immediate perception of the flow of data, with no need to change them in any way. And this gives us complete perceptual openness within all experience. So the confidence with short moments again and again. And short moments sometimes are difficult to take on our own, and we sit here in a group together. Then we read texts or listen to talks. These are ways to take short moments when we think we have no idea what a short moment is. I don't even remember how many times I thought that. And in the past, that doesn't occur anymore. I mean, if I think about it, no, it doesn't occur anymore. But it did definitely occur for a very long time. But only when you think about it, it was already happening. Right? It's already happening, these short moments. And then there's more and more confidence. But this complete perceptual openness in our experience and freedom in immediate perception are really strong, powerful teachings there, because you see that there's no freedom outside of data. We subtly always feel there should be a certain way of feeling something or experiencing something to be free. And again and again, we hear that it's in the immediacy of the perception. And then the struggle with data stop and the search for different data as well comes to a stop or halt. Okay, I guess we could maybe, we could pause for today so we can have time for shares yeah, and questions. That would be good. Nice to see everyone. I think we've met you also, Paul, before. Yeah, right? You're not the first time here. Oh. It's nice to see you again. And yeah, does anyone have a question or would like to share how it is going? Nice to see
Oh,
you,
Bob,
Laurie.
we're not hearing you. I don't know if you
Oh,
were
oh
wanting
no.
to
Okay.
speak.
You hear
That's
me
okay.
now?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So on one of Candace's YouTube videos, she makes mention of that karma and reincarnation. She didn't use the word will be a thing of the past, but she said it will not be a law anymore because people have believed in it, uh, karma and reincarnation. She said for thousands of years. And then she made mention that it would not be believed in anymore. Um, I quite frankly, I'm still on the fence with this reincarnation thing. I've studied a lot of paths that have definitely, you know, agreed with the concept of reincarnation, and to me, like I'm not sure where I stand on it. I mean, sometimes I think it is because, in fact, there are some Buddhists, I think the Dalai Lama said that someone's going to, is going to take over for him. Um, but what is your uh, what might you be commenting on in relation to that if you have any comment on it, but you know, Candace actually did say that. Um,
I
you know,
know. I heard the talk recently as well, funny enough.
yes,
And to me, like I bring everything to practice. Like because there is no satisfying answer to me whatsoever from like thinking about it or trying to come to the right conclusion or not. So to me, it just means basically I ask myself, do I need to know this in order to experience the power and presence of open intelligence in this moment? And I don't. So I'm happy to leave this as a mystery and
yes,
leave it to the sages and saints to know these things and I just need to know how to practice in this moment. I certainly see from within the context of the talk of that from the perspective of the ultimate reality of the crystal ball, or the mirror-like expanse of open intelligence, there is no ultimate time, space, cause and effect. All of these are appearing within it, but the mirror itself is unchanging. And so from that perspective, I can totally see that statement. And then I know people who seem to remember their past lives. So
yeah. It's
depends on which lens somebody takes to the
not
question,
really
I guess.
disturbing, but I'm sorry. Did you want to? I'm sorry, I interrupted.
No, you were asking me for your image is frozen to me. Is that the same for you, Kati? I couldn't see Bob anymore, so I didn't see that you were talking before. I heard
Oh,
you. I see you again now. I think maybe your internet is a little sketchy. But anyway, I think I already shared what I wanted to respond to the question. I think my primary response is I just always look at these things from I do now. I that wasn't in the beginning. I did try to come to a definitive conclusion so that it would help me rest. Today I
yeah.
rest to eventually come to a definitive conclusion, and I much prefer that direction.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you and see you.
Okay. I had another question, I guess. Does She also made some statement. I was going to write it down so I don't misquote, and I'm not going to try to quote what she said. And I just love, because maybe even saying that about the karma and reincarnation can bring up stuff for for folks, and whatever that might be, and gives you another opportunity to be have short moments of open intelligence.
Mm.
I don't know what why she brought that up, but I wanted to ask you guys: is she said something else that got my attention? Um, she said something like, "You never quite, you always, even if you're doing short moments a long time, you never quite find a place inside of yourself that you're at ease about data. That even slightly, she said that you might you might be thinking there's more to be had through this data. And I was going to ask you guys, because you've been, you know, doing this teaching for so long, um, is that true for you? Or does it make sense what I said or not?
That one is looking for something more in data, did you say?
Yeah, that there's always something, even slightly, that doesn't allow us to be at ease all the time.
Right. I would say, well, that might appear as an appearance here and there, but I would say after some time, um, there is no more looking for something in data. It might not feel comfortable, but it's very clear that that data are not fooling oneself anymore into doing something, searching or trying to, find open intelligence. But it still can be that you feel like, oh, I would like to not feel this and that. But it doesn't mean that I'm going to start out searching for a new method to to realize something here.
Yeah.
It might be that there can be challenging times in life, facing grief or something. That doesn't mean that we don't feel deeply sadness or maybe anxiety or something, and you take care of one takes care of oneself, maybe having a nice walk or having some other support. So I'm just making examples now, but in terms of your own recognition to open intelligence, there's complete ease that I don't need to look for anything anywhere. Yeah.
Thank you
Mm.
both. Thank you both.
I saw Amanda. Did you wanted to ask? Yeah, thank you too, Bob. Were you doing something before? No. I thought
No, no, but I can say something. I find it very difficult when I've got a strong point of view about something. I don't have many, but on a couple of key issues, like and other people, I guess you'd call it sort of political, have another view, and it's really hard. I noticed that need to be right, and it's really to remember the short moments. It's for me, it's when I see something like, I don't know, a tree, and people say it's not a tree, and I'm like, but it's a tree. That's a complex.
Mhm.
It's that's just an example, someone's political view, and I'm like, no. For me, it's when there's something right there, and I'm being sort of told what I don't see. What I see isn't there. And that's the hardest
Mm.
for me, because that's that real, egoic crunch. It's really, I can get very easily caught up in having to justify my point of view and forget that it's a point of view.
Yeah.
as
That,
Candice would say.
yeah. Well, you just sharing that here now, you'll see that you'll be more able to rest.
Yeah.
It, it's true, that doesn't mean like you sometimes we forget when things are feel very important. Also
Yeah.
in close relationships, we sometimes just like
Yeah.
the data can go, and then all other things, political views might feel really, really strong. We feel the energy in the body. We need to say something. We need to be, like you said, I'm right here. And so actually seeing that all appear in open intelligence, it's kind of powerful too.
Yeah, and it was helpful what Johan said about because there is that sort of myth in spirituality that you've got to be calm and walking around in white to be, and to kind of being vegetarian and to kind of go that passion, there's something moving there as well, and it's not separate from. But I guess my invitation to myself is it's almost like I've got, oh yeah, there's points of views that Candice talks about, but this is right. It's not a point of view, that's right. And they're wrong. So to go, yeah, there's nothing that isn't a point of view. Even if I say I've got two legs, it's technically a point of view, if you in the extreme. And that's where I really want to go. And then see, as you say, it's like it's not that one doesn't necessarily speak, but when you in resting in a short moment, you don't know what's going to come out. It might be, yeah, you're right, I don't have any legs. Or it might be, what's your problem? Can't you see I've got two legs? You don't know what's going to come. But yeah, so that's my little thing at the moment.
That's
Yeah,
powerful. Yeah. Yeah.
just to
Yeah.
thank you.
To trusting also the spontaneity of one's own rest. That doesn't have to look really peaceful because it is really potency, actually. It's deep care too.
Yeah,
It's it's that beneficial energy, but sometimes we've just been very locked up. Even the data, we all, and just seeing the data, I'm right, has given me a lot of benefit, actually. When going through the empowerments, we look at belief systems too. And just alone, like when the data comes up, oh, I'm right. And then have to really put my point forward.
yeah,
It loosens up. It doesn't mean that, that I'm wrong or that, but it's a different relationship to this kind of data that appears
yeah,
then. Sometimes
yeah,
we would respond wrathfully because it's actually good. Like you said, you never know how you will respond. And sometimes you'll just let something go because actually
yeah.
there's no
Yeah, I
point
always
in.
think of Jesus in the temple throwing the tables over, he acted from, that was what moved through him in that moment. But I think the difference is I need you to agree with me is really coming more from a fear place of my opinion won't exist unless I get you to validate it. Whereas I still might express, but my sense is when I'm not needing, it's not I'm not needing, when no validation is needed, because there's nothing to validate, as in there's no subject, object, if you anyway, going a bit off now, but I have to say something funny. I remember I got this whole thing about there's no right and wrong, and then I was telling someone and they disagreed with me and I got so angry because they believed I was wrong. I was going, but how can you be there's no right and wrong, and I was angry at them even though it was like just the craziest thing to be arguing about. You're wrong about my belief that there's no right or wrong. And as I was doing it I was like, oh shit. So anyway, yeah, thank you.
That's good one. Yeah, thank you. It's good. great. Mm-mm. Mm. And Laurie, how are you doing?
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Nice to see everyone.
Nice to see you.
Yeah, it's beautiful. The teaching is beautiful. And in this moment, what I can say is that the teaching of complete perceptual openness, um, there's an experience, the experience of being has become the complete perceptual openness is it actually takes the meanness out of the data. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
The personalness of this is happening, this data that's appearing is happening to me, and these feelings are mine, these problems, these joys. The perceptual openness actually just shows what is, and without the mind, it as it's left alone, uh, that's the ease of being, really. And there's no this what's happened is there's really no personal experience of the data, um, even though there's a person acting in the world. That's not going away, but the complete perceptual openness of what is shows what is and not what the mind uh, foists upon the data.
Mm.
And the data itself is obviously a projection, but that's a whole other conversation. So the complete perceptual openness in this moment, and it's moment to moment, it just changes within the crystal ball, like the expanse of reality. As you say, it's just changing, but it's, I don't know if that makes sense, but that's really what's happened here is, and it happened on its own. It's not, I mean, I might say, oh, I did this or that, but it just is happening and then it goes away. It seems to go away. Any sort of clarity leaves, it comes, it goes. And, you know, it doesn't, all that can be done is the remembrance of the rest and the perceptual openness in the moment.
Mhm.
Anyway, I don't know what your
That's great.
experience is, but
Yeah, sounds powerful. Sounds good. And are you what are you working on? Empowerment
8.
8, right? 8,
Yeah,
great.
and
Good. How's that going?
pretty well. It's all
Okay.
just kind of showing itself as I'm going along, and I'm going slower than whatever. It's going slower than I thought, but it's just moving at its own pace, and it's
Mhm.
really nice.
That's great.
Yeah,
That's perfect. Did you actually paint that painting on your left there?
I did actually.
Ah, it's really
Yeah,
nice. I love that.
thank you. Yeah,
Beautiful. Okay. Well, nice to see you.
thank you. Good to see you guys.
Mm. We'll be soon in the West Coast again. Tomorrow, actually flying. So,
Travel safe.
thank you. Mm. And Jean, how are you doing? Mm.
Hi. Yeah, I think I understood what Lori was saying. Um, as I continue to practice resting, um, often, I have noticed something that has just happened on its own too, which is in unexpected moments. Um, a kind of, I feel a kind of expansiveness where when I'm performing an action, I perform it in a different way. That is, actually turns out to be more efficient, more effective. And it's almost like I'm performing it, but I'm watching it with kind of wonder, like, oh, and what will I do next? And how will and then it turns out that when the action was completed, it was much more well done, executed. And and I said to myself, it's happened several times now. And as it's happening, I'm saying to myself, I wonder if this is this perceptual openness and expansiveness that I have read about, because this feels different than any experience I've ever had before. And then it's just, and then of course the end product is much more satisfying because it's much more well done than the way that I used to, the habitual way I would have performed that action. And it never would have occurred to me to come at it from uh, this different direction.
Mm.
And so it was never performed as well. And I have a feeling that that is a result, a very subtle result of just this continual practice of, as I am met with data constantly, that is mostly unpleasant. Um, and so on the plus side, this unpleasant data streams that are constantly arising, they provide the impetus to want to rest.
Mm.
Oh,
Yeah,
rest.
that's the benefit of those kinds
That's
of
the
data, right?
benefit, right? Yeah, the
Yeah.
benefit. Yeah, and so continual practice of the resting. And though I've caught myself going back to old habitual ways of behaving and catching myself much quicker than I used to. When I first began resting, I'm catching myself much quicker and observing, oh, I see what I'm doing here. This is of no benefit to myself, to others, and I'm seeing it in a way I was never conscious of before. It just never even entered my mind. And the other part of that is that I don't beat myself up like I used to. It kind of, I feel like disappointed, but it pretty much then goes away and I'm just on to living again. So it's not hanging on like it used to, I've noticed. And I really think that it'll never end. Just as you mentioned earlier, um, Kathy, that the more you rest, uh, just the more assuredness you have in open intelligence, and it just starts to become more habitual and comfortable. And and so I'm not expecting anything really, any big, tremendous. I guess I'm not, what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that I think the key is just the continual practice. And I know that you said, and sometimes those feelings are still there and they're still unpleasant. Absolutely. And now I can cope with them much better. I can accept them much better. And I'm sorry, my language is failing me. I suppose I've got it across.
Yes, totally, totally. Actually, really powerful to hear your benefits there. They're great. It's also helpful to actually sometimes share about one's own benefits, because then we see, okay, it's working for me. It's actually happening.
Yeah,
I
I'm
was,
surprised, surprised that it pops up
yeah.
and that and it's just it's wonderful to know that I have this to rely on, and I feel like, okay, I have something to rely on as I go through the rest of my life.
Mm, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that's beautiful. It's empowerment free, right? What is absolutely reliable? It's each empowerment has a question, and that's really, I really always love that one, because what can we rely on in every moment? Well, definitely not on our thoughts and feelings, because they're so unpredictable. Mhm. Mm. Great. Yes. Anyone else? Yes, Paul?
Oh, we can't hear you
Morning.
yet. Oh, now we can. Perfect. Good
I
morning.
could unmute myself. I I had an interesting experience this morning reading about as it is, the importance of letting everything be as it is, and then sitting at the breakfast table with my wife, and a little something happened that was an irritation that's part of a pattern. And I started just considering, okay, I can leave this as it is and not make an issue of it, even though it's bugging me. Um, and that's fine, but this could go on for years, which is not acceptable. So what's the approach? And I can just sat there and considered, and wonderful open intelligence helped me understand that as it is fine, but it's also fine to bring wisdom and love to a conversation about an issue. And wisdom and love brought to the issue may well bring some resolve. And that's when you can move from leaving it as it is to action. And so I brought wisdom and love, brought the issue up, and it was a wonderful resolution of something. The issue was her doing a little texting, taking care of a little texting business while we're at the breakfast table, and I didn't care for that. But hey, it is what it is. I'm going to leave it as it is, but it's catching in my craw, as they say. But the recognition that I could bring wisdom and love and address the issue, and that approach doesn't get reaction typically, and become counterproductive, but can bring a resolve to an issue, a little minor issue that's been ongoing for years. And it was interesting. My wife heard me, and she said, well, if you think about it, when we're at restaurants, you spend a lot of time on your phone. You don't spend time on the phone when we're at home, but when we're at a restaurant, you got this phone out pretty regularly, texting, looking here and looking there. And that's when we are together for, if you will, a special time. And we're not at home taking care of business and having breakfast. This is a out by ourselves time. And it seems to me that's even more offensive. And I 100% agreed with her and recognized the inappropriateness of that. And so we had two wonderful issues cleaned up in a moment because I began with as it is and waited for open intelligence to provide a path. It was beautiful.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing so openly. That's so wonderful. Really inspiring.
I also had an insight yesterday about my propensity to want to be understood. My thinking obviously is quite different than all of my compatriots. Uh, I'm the only one out there thinking about short moments and open intelligence and such as this. Uh, but when I express these things, people are, you know, I've gone off the deep end. You all probably know, uh, and so the tendency is to I want to be understood. I'm not a whack job. I'm not an idiot. I'm not crazy. I've discovered something that's beautiful and wonderful, and I want to share it with the world. I want to be potent benefit, you know, and but it's not well received typically. It's misunderstood. Comments are made, judgments are dished out, and the tendency for Paul is to want to be understood. So there's a doubling down, a new effort to say stuff that explains and helps the other person understand where I'm coming from and who I've become and all this stuff. But it almost just makes things worse. So the insight was that I was making an effort to, quote, be understood instead of just leaving it as it is and see what comes to pass as I'm just simply being awareness itself. And also, the whole effort to be understood takes a personal identity to do such a thing. Awareness itself doesn't, quote, need to be understood. Only a personal identity, Paul, gets in the mix and wants to clean up something, wants to correct something, wants to be understood.
Right, yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
That's so powerful. That's great. Wonderful. That's wonderful. Oh, yeah, and Natalie, yes, nice to see you there.
Yeah, you're reading in my thoughts. I was thinking after listening to Paul, living as it is, I'm wondering, it's not only, is it, question, huh? Is it not only, for example, I live as it is, the texting or the kind of outer phenomena and outer datum, but it can also be living as it is, my own inner so-called feeling of frustration, of not being understood, or annoyance, or anxiety, or whatever emerged of my own emotions or thoughts concerning something, right?
Yes, I
And
mean, as it is
it's the open intelligence, right?
As it we leave things as open intelligence.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
doesn't indicate anything
That we don't
else.
do anything about something.
No, that was then also in this example, but generally, of course, there's always can be so any kind of action comes from that place as it is, and sometimes we need space to allow things to be as it is, but sometimes it just is obviously spontaneously just as it is, as open intelligence, and action follows spontaneously. But as it is, as open intelligence is actually so like it's not about the descriptions, yeah. But yeah, that's
Thank you.
as it is, everything is open intelligence, is energy. But sometimes it's really nice to give oneself space to rest as it is, because then that is rather than, especially when things are very dynamic. But also this dynamic is very potent. Yeah, as open intelligence. Everything. That's great. Oh yeah. Well, we are coming to our end, but I also see just Bentley James. You just came in. Welcome to you. We are finishing now, but nice to have you here too. And good. Do you want to say anything else or anybody else before we end for today? Well, good. We'll see. We'll be here again next week.